This is ABC 7 News at 4.
News here at home. A reward now is being offered in the murder of a Chicago cabbie. Someone killed 60-year-old Muhammad Haroun by slashing his throat. It happened early Wednesday morning. His body was found beside the cab at Addison and Albany. And now several cab companies and the Armitage Baptist Church together are offering that reward. They're asking anyone who knows whom Haroun may have picked up that early morning to call police.
The killer is out there. The killer is standing behind you in the line at the ATM. The killer is parking his or her car next to you in the supermarket parking lot. This person is out there walking the streets.
The reward of up to $10,000 is expected to grow. Police believe that Haroun was killed during an attempted robbery.
This is Chicago's very own WGN News at 9.
And our other top story tonight, an entire neighborhood comes out to remember a 12-year-old boy who was shot while taking part in a community cleanup in the Back of the Yards neighborhood. And now police say that the shooting was gang-related. WGN's Juan Carlos Fanjul is here with the latest. Juan Carlos.
Well, Bob, over 100 people turned out this afternoon for a vigil in the memory of 12-year-old Renee Guillen. Perhaps the most touching moment when the boy's mother showed up at the very spot her son was gunned down. No words are necessary to describe what Renee Guillen's mother, Ermelinda, is going through. Her pain, her anguish are palpable as she breaks down in front of a makeshift memorial in honor of her little boy who lost his life. Before a crowd of neighbors and strangers, she clutches her son's picture. On Saturday, police say Guillen had taken a break from a community cleanup with some friends who possibly are members of a gang. Minutes later, 3 gang members on bikes and 1 on foot descend on the corner of 48th and Laughlin, a disputed gang territory, and open fire. Guillen was shot in the chest. It's not known if he was the intended victim. Right now, police say 3 persons of interest are being interviewed by detectives, but no arrests yet. That's why 2 churches are now offering a $6,000 reward.
If the reward money toward information that leads to an arrest and a conviction is what helps break this case, that's the least we can do.
And the 2 churches that donated the reward money are New Life Community Church and the Armitage Baptist Church.
Now the news on CBS 2.
2 Chicago churches are coming together tonight to help one grief-stricken family. 12-year-old Renee Guillen was shot and killed yesterday as he did volunteer work. Tonight, members of his community are praying for his family and the arrest of the gunman. Good evening, I'm Cynthia Santana.
And I'm John Davis.
The churches are now offering a reward for information in the gang-related shooting.
And police are questioning people but have made no arrests. CBS 2's Chelsea Irving has been following this story. She joins us live from the Back of the Yards neighborhood with more. Chelsea.
John, Area 1 detectives are now talking with 3 people they're calling simply persons of interest. But as you said, no arrests yet in this case, which is only making things that much harder for the 12-year-old victim's family. They and many others from this neighborhood came out here to the scene this afternoon for a prayer service, which, as you can imagine, was extremely difficult and emotional. As neighbors comfort each other, pastors from a Northwest Side church come to share a message for those living in this troubled section of the Back of the Yards.
Not everybody's out shooting, not everybody's out dealing, and the good people need to know that other good people stand with them.
That pastor from Armitage Baptist Church and another from New Life Community Church also today announced a reward fund, $6,000 going to information leading to the arrest of Renee Guillen's killers. Live in the Back of the Yards neighborhood, Chelsea Irving, CBS 2 News.
This is ABC 7 News at 10, Chicago's #1 news.
There's a special Easter Sunday across the city and suburbs where Christians are remembering the resurrection of Jesus.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
A baptism was the focus of an Easter celebration tonight at Armitage Baptist Church. A man who says he's a reformed gang member dedicated his life to Christ. Church members heard an Easter message of hope and renewal. Armitage Baptist Church is one of the largest Protestant congregations in Chicago.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox News at 9.
The pictures tell the story. Water loaded with debris, careening through what used to be streets, but instead appeared to be raging, violent rivers. This is how it was, and why so many were killed.
And it's been a day of prayer worldwide, dedicated to the victims of the tsunamis. Many Chicago congregations took part in this day of reflection. A.J. Sterling reports.
Members of the Armitage Baptist Church gather here every Sunday, but this week's service is devoted to victims of the tsunamis. Prayers are first said for the lost children.
A lot of parents, it's very difficult for them to receive comfort when their children are passed away, and I believe that God is the only one that could really comfort them in this time.
And more prayers for children who lost their parents, which is important to 7-year-old Benjamin Steff.
I hope that we can get together to help them find their parents. There's some parents that are crying for the kids.
Prayers are sent out for those helping in the dozen countries devastated by the tsunamis.
I pray for the safety, health, and protection of the healthcare workers.
To pray for everyone on the field, on the ground there, helping and working, as well as for those who are suffering and have suffered.
The Armitage Baptist Church isn't the only congregation praying for the survivors of the tsunamis. In fact, today people all over the world are gathering for the International Day of Prayer. All faiths, all languages, all with the same thoughts and prayers.
Prayer brings spiritual power to bear under the most incredibly terrible circumstances.
Perhaps the prayers can help turn the tragedy into a miracle.
Life is not eternal here. That life is just is given to us for a time.
Reporting from the north side, A.J. Sterling, Fox News, Chicago.
Pasamos en vivo hasta el centro de satélites con nuestra compañera María de Lourdes García. María de Lourdes, ¿por qué no nos dices cómo transcurrió este evento?
Muy buenas noches, Enrique, Paula. Y para que los niños de su comunidad no tengan excusas algunas, les regalaron algunos de los útiles escolares necesarios para el regreso a clases. Faltan tan solo 2 días para que los niños y jóvenes regresen a clases en las escuelas públicas de Chicago. Pero para que ninguno se quede en casa, la Iglesia Bautista Armitage, ubicada en el norte de la ciudad, celebró esta tarde una actividad para incentivar a los estudiantes a que acudan a la escuela el próximo martes.
Estamos trabajando con las escuelas públicas y dándoles a los niños gratis supplies de la escuela, papel, lápiz, book bags. Y estamos aquí celebrando el regreso de ellos ir para la escuela.
La celebración fue con música, actuaciones, bailes y regalos para los niños e incluso sortearon una computadora entre los presentes.
Es importante hacer estos eventos para que los niños sepan que la comunidad y la iglesia están detrás de ellos apoyándolos, no solamente los padres, pero también la comunidad y las iglesias.
Pero sin lugar a dudas, los padres son fundamentales a la hora de asegurarse que sus hijos asistan a clases. Y por eso Maris Rueda estuvo con sus hijas en la actividad para crear conciencia en ellas sobre la importancia de la educación.
Y estamos aquí para orar para los niños, para que vayan para la escuela con mucho esfuerzo.
Bien, de hecho hay que señalar que el jefe de las escuelas públicas de Chicago, Arnie Duncan, está exhortando a los padres a que le compren a sus hijos los útiles necesarios para el próximo martes y que todos los estudiantes lleguen al salón de clases sin falta alguna. Eso es todo por mi parte. Ahora regresamos nuevamente con ustedes.
Niños, hay que echarle muchas ganas. Gracias, María Lourdes. Buenas noches.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox News at 9.
The focus today at many Chicago churches: help the hurricane survivors. Here's Fox reporter A.J. Sterling with that part of the story.
At Armitage Baptist Church, shoes line the altar as gifts of goodwill. Call it Souls for Souls.
One of our church members is going to pile them in a truck that he owns and drive them down and drop them off.
They will make a trek to the Gulf Coast to donate the shoes. They'll protect the feet of people who must now walk away from everything that's been destroyed. It's one more way people all over the Chicago area are trying to help hurricane survivors. Members of this church can't seem to do enough. Some of them have just returned from volunteering in the Gulf region. John Podzol helped deliver portable dialysis machines to kidney patients in the hurricane zone. He also helped drive RVs for families to use as temporary homes.
We dropped them off there, and what they were going to do is they were going to take them, give them to the families that needed them to use, and that until they got back on their feet.
Other volunteers here delivered as many as 60,000 meals to people in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama.
Before the Red Cross was there, before FEMA was there, they were there.
Some of those efforts are hitting home for members. Gloria Barrow's son moved his family to the Biloxi, Mississippi area for work. Now, the family has nothing.
He said that the water was coming so fast that the only thing that he could do was grab the kids and just hold them. But I'm thankful that he's alive. Nothing else matters.
You're watching Chicago's very own WGN News at 9.
The people of Chicago are not taking a backseat in this crisis. Convoys of trucks headed south, and they continue to do so, as do fundraisers and food drives for those in need. WGN's Julie Savine reports.
What is there to go to right now?
Will Cole is one of more than 320 hurricane victims now calling Chicago home. The hotel worker from the French Quarter is among the fortunate. He has family here.
These are the only clothes I own. If it wouldn't be for my brother, I wouldn't have this.
Across Chicago this Sunday, prayers and plans to help people like Cole and the thousands still trying to survive in Louisiana and Mississippi.
From NBC News, this is Today with Katie Couric and Matt Lauer.
Coming up in this half hour, we're going to show you how Americans remembered the victims of Katrina in their prayers this weekend and joined the survivors in praying for a swift recovery.
Over the weekend, we saw our nation come together to both offer prayers and donations for those suffering in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. NBC's Kevin Tibbles has the story.
Because you can see what's left of our beautiful church building.
Determined voices ring out from the heart of the disaster zone.
But I'm happy today because you can see a good portion of what's left of our church.
The congregation of the Episcopal Church of the Redeemer.
From NBC News, this is Today with Katie Couric and Matt Lauer. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
And coming up in this half hour, we're going to show you how Americans remembered the victims of Katrina in their prayers this weekend and joined the survivors in praying for a swift recovery.
Over the weekend, we saw our nation come together to both offer prayers and donations for those suffering in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. NBC's Kevin Tibbles has the story.
From NBC News, this is Today with Katie Couric and Matt Lauer. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
And coming up in this half hour, we're going to show you how Americans remembered the victims of Katrina in their prayers this weekend and joined the survivors in praying for a swift recovery.